Good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic Live. I'm your host, Neil Johnson. Always excited to be with you and to share the news with you. We were right. We were right all along. We have a bombshell out of Georgia that implicates Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, in the cover-up of 2020. This story is flipping nuts, but it's not only that, folks. What's going on in Georgia ever since the FBI raid, they are flat freaking out. So now they are going after the FBI, trying to get the documents back. They are admitting that arrests are coming. You are going to love this show. So do me a favor, smash that like, chat in with where you're from. And while people are joining the streams, I'm just going to play. We have a mega sale, not a mega, but a mega sale going on at MyPillow right now. Phenomenal deals. Use promo code Lumberjack at mypillow.com.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
Absolutely free shipping, folks. Absolutely free. I'll put the link in and I'll pin it for you at the top of the chat, but go check it out. So good to have so many of you on. I dropped a comment in the chat, but thank you so much. I mean, this is the kind of vindication we've been looking for a long, long time. So all of you who have stuck with me over the years, thank you so much for doing that. Again, if you just jumped on the stream, please do smash that like and chat in with where you're from. All right, so let's get right into it. I'm going to share this ABC News report first. I'll probably interrupt it just a couple times. This isn't so. The issue right now is Brian Kemp has been implicated in just released. These were just released documents. My friend Brian Lupo actually was sitting on them for a couple weeks. Had to make sure everything was in line and in order so he could release these sealed court documents involving the 2020 election and Brian Kemp's cover-up of the investigation or the lack thereof. It's a wild story, but first let's go to the recent news of the office being raided and see how they're reacting down there.
And we also have breaking news on that FBI raid on a Georgia election center last week. Multiple sources are now telling ABC News that Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, arranged for agents who searched that office to speak on the phone with President Trump. The president has repeatedly pointed to Fulton County as part of his false claims that the 2020 election was stolen. Our ABC News radio national correspondent Stephen Portnoy is back with us following the latest. So just tell us, this is very unusual. I mean, how unprecedented is this? And what more do we know about that conversation between these FBI agents and the president?
It is highly unusual.
So all right, hold it there, Rebecca. It's highly unusual. It's highly unprecedented, folks. Wait till you hear the contents of the call. It is freaky. It is amazingly unprecedented, unusual. But this is what the mainstream media does all the time. It's so unprecedented. I can't believe it. You know what was unprecedented? Raiding a president's home and searching through his wife's underwear drawer. That was unprecedented. Let's go on.
Sources familiar with the incident confirmed to ABC News that the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, did arrange for agents who conducted last week's search to be a part of a phone call with President Trump. And sources tell us the agents were able to hear the president on speakerphone telling them that they were doing great work in investigating Georgia elections.
Okay, stop it for a second, Rebecca. That's what he told them. He had them on the phone and told them they were doing great work. They were doing a good job. So unprecedented, unbelievable. I mean, the most shocking piece of information I've heard all day, but the media is freaking out. Wait till you see the video from Fulton County with the elections director. But keep going, Rebecca.
Last Wednesday, agents armed with a search warrant pulled 700 boxes of ballots and other records from the 2020 election out of the Fulton County facility. There are still a lot of unanswered questions about all of this, Selena.
Right, but to your point, so unusual for the president
So
and the DNI to be
unusual.
speaking to line agents about an ongoing criminal investigation. And Stephen, what more do we know about the election materials that the FBI seized in this raid?
Well, we still haven't seen the affidavit that was submitted by the FBI to a magistrate judge who signed it, indicating that there was probable cause that a crime has been committed. We still don't know exactly what backs up the search warrant, but sources say investigators are going ballot by ballot looking for irregularities. There are certainly questions about the DNI's involvement in all this, as domestic law enforcement is not in the purview of the most senior official in our government in charge of foreign intelligence. Nevertheless, Tulsi Gabbard has had an outside.
So, yes, it is. It's true, folks. Tulsi Gabbard was there, and it's highly, come on, help me out with the word. What would you call this when the DNI shows up in Georgia? There's a word for that. I think they've used it a few times in the course of this little short news report. They've used actually 2 U words that begin with U, folks, for $500 in the chat. No, this is hilarious to me. They keep going on about how unprecedented and unusual, and DNI Gabbard was there. That's right. It's unprecedented. You guys, it's unusual. My audience, you're great. Here's the thing. She's there because of foreign interference. Remember all the China connections with Governor Kemp? Do you guys remember this? How he was courting all of China to come over to Georgia and do business with Georgia. He was taking trips to China. He was like Tim Walz with China. But anyways, let's move on.
Role in investigating what Trump allies call election integrity. In recent days, the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has been asked multiple times about Gabbard's presence at the FBI raid in Fulton County. He said in an interview yesterday that he didn't know why she was there. But on Friday, Todd Blanche told reporters at a news conference, quote, "This administration coordinates everything we do as a group."
Stephen.
Do you remember after, it's funny because they're freaking out about coordinating as a group. Do you remember after 9/11 how the groups were supposed to have better coordination? Do you guys remember this? It was the big talk of the day after 9/11. The CIA, the FBI, there was no good coordination. They needed better coordination. NSA, all of them, better coordination. Military intelligence, better coordination. Yeah. Now they're upset about that coordination, folks. It's rather hilarious. So this is the big thing. So there, do you guys remember who David Perdue was? He was the U.S. Senator in Georgia. And so if you remember, after the 2020 election, both Georgia Senate seats went on to a runoff. Kelly Loeffler and Perdue were running on the Republican side, and Perdue was actually the senator at that time in the state of Georgia. And they both went to runoff elections. Perdue ultimately should have won that election outright. It was that close. And we know now with what we're finding out that he would have. But he testified in the Trump RICO special grand jury that Governor Brian Kemp shut down a compelling investigation. We have the testimony, and my friend Brian has uncovered this. So he is now, just so you know, David Perdue is now the ambassador to the People's Republic of China. It's got a really chap Brian Kemp's hide. But let's go to the article here. So from Badlands Media, Brian Lupo wrote this. Grand jury testimony from Senator David Perdue suggests Governor Brian Kemp halted investigation into 2020 election. Tagline, if the governor doesn't want to investigate, we're not going to investigate. This is a wild story because do you know who was questioning? Here's another $1 million trivia question for you fine folks out there. For extra bonus points, put in the chat if you know who was questioning David Perdue in the RICO case in Georgia, because you're going to see some major prosecutorial misconduct going on here. Who do you think was questioning David Perdue in, Maduro is talking. I like that comment. I'll give you a little heart on that. Thank you for that. Who do you think? It was not Fannie. Great guess, but it wasn't Fannie. You're getting warmer, as they say. You're getting warmer. I mean, because, Fannie and this person, they were pretty warm. No, it wasn't Roy Barnes. Come on, folks. Somebody's going to get it. It wasn't Jack Smith. There it is. Nathan Wade. That's right. Nathan Wade was the one asking the question. So get this. On August 24th, 2023, Donald Trump surrendered himself to authorities at the Fulton County Jail. What followed was the most infamous mugshot of all time. He had just been indicted on racketeering and other charges related to the 2020 presidential election results in Georgia. In the case of State of Georgia versus Trump et al., which was manufactured by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and her lover Nathan Wade, was ultimately dismissed on November 25th, 2025. Even after its dismissal, the case is providing us with more context of what actually happened and what didn't happen surrounding the 2020 election. What you're really going to love about this as I get into this, folks, this never would have happened had Fulton County not done this. We would not have had this testimony from Purdue on record if Fulton County hadn't done this. Do you see now why this is the grace of God that Trump was not seated in 2020 and we had to go through those 4 years of hell on earth, the COVID hellscape, the election hellscape, all of it, okay, to get to this point, and everything they did is now working against them. Okay. Last month, Judge Scott McAfee lifted a protective order on the special grand jury transcripts from the case of State of Georgia versus Trump et al. One particular transcript contains a concerning claim made by former U.S. Senator David Perdue. On September 6, 2022, Senator Perdue sat for a transcribed interview in front of the grand jury. He was examined by Nathan Wade, among others. Now, when you find this out, you understand that as the prosecutor, Nathan Wade never brought this up in the case itself, okay? This was sealed. It was hidden from you, and they wanted to keep it that way. Okay, so after initial pleasantries, Wade asked Senator Perdue whether he agreed that investigations by the Secretary of State's office, the GBI, and numerous investigations showed nothing illegal happened at the State Farm Arena on election night in 2020. Perdue responded, I agree that an investigation happened. Yes. Okay. So here we go. Question. So you're talking about pre-January 6th, 2021. So just to get the timeline straight, I'm talking about sitting here today. So you're talking about State Farm Arena and the things that happened in the video, I'm assuming. Since then, the Secretary of State's office, the GBI, numerous investigations have looked into that and said that nothing illegal happened. So that's the question being phrased to Perdue. Perdue answers, actually, that's your opinion. That's not a fact. The questioner says, it's not my opinion that those investigations have. Well, let me give you one example. Thanks so much for those supers. Liberty Linda, thank you so much. Pete, thank you so much. Well, let me give you one example. And then the questioner said, do you agree that those investigations took place? Yes. That the GBI investigated? I agree that an investigation happened. Yes. Wade fired back. I just want to flush out for the grand jury. It's a simple question. Did the GBI investigate those claims? And Perdue answered, not to my knowledge, not to my satisfaction. When Wade asked if Perdue had reason to believe that the GBI would not have conducted a satisfactory investigation, the response from Perdue was shocking. Senator Perdue, listen up here now, folks. This is where it gets good. Senator Perdue claimed to have received a phone call in November of 2021 from Vic Reynolds, then director of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, or the GBI. Reynolds told Perdue, we're not going, listen, this is the director of the GBI. We're not going to investigate. The governor wants me to tell you why we're not going to investigate. Perdue revealed that in May of 2021, Reynolds was presented with evidence of ballot harvesting, video evidence, and cell phone evidence, along with testimony and bank records that are corroborated. Remember how we're always talking about getting to the financial backing of this, getting to where the money comes from, because that's where you can then track all the criminals down? They had the bank records. They had the testimony. They had video and cell phone evidence. Purdue stated that Reynolds looked at that and said it was compelling enough to be investigated. So think back to 2,000 Mules. Think to True the Vote, Catherine Engelbrecht, Greg Phillips, okay? Purdue would go on to reveal that the reason Reynolds gave him for not investigating the compelling evidence was because Reynolds was, get this, folks, a team player. If the governor, who was the governor, folks, come on, you know who the governor was in 2020 in Georgia? Brian Kemp. If the governor does not want to investigate, we're not going to investigate. Purdue would conclude his answer by stating for the record that then GBI director Vic Reynolds was later promoted, listen to this, to Superior Court Judge of Cobb County, an appointment made by Governor Brian Kemp in August of 2022, just 1 month before this testimony was given. So do you understand what went on here? The GBI, the head of the GBI, tells Purdue, we're not going to investigate because the governor doesn't want to investigate. Then, because Reynolds was a good boy, he got promoted to Superior Court Judge. So when they tell you about the investigations into the 2020 election, tell them that. The investigation did not occur because Governor Brian Kemp didn't want it to occur. And then Governor Brian Kemp, even though there was enough valid data, there was enough valid facts, there was enough valid, what's the word I'm looking for, Rebecca? Evidence. Thank you, Rebecca. I was sitting there hanging on that. Aren't you guys all glad I have Rebecca here to help me now? Anyways, yes, there was enough valid evidence to look into it. They chose not to because Brian Kemp didn't want him to, and then he gets promoted. Folks, I spoke with somebody close to this. There are going to be more stories like this dropping every week for the next 6 weeks. The next one coming out, I'm not privy to discuss, an absolute shocker. I mean, folks, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you got your notifications on, because if you care about free and fair elections, and if you care about 2020 and what went on, I will be bringing you this stuff because I was covering this back then. That's why our channel, for those who are new to this channel, that's why we sat at 2 strikes and I had to stop producing, sat at 2 strikes again, had to stop producing, sat at 2 strikes again and had to stop producing. Also demonetized not once, not twice, but 3 times. So this channel was almost wiped out. I just stopped producing to keep the channel alive so I could continue communicating with you folks via YouTube. Folks, it's just wild, but I would never retract what I said because I always knew. We knew because we were looking into this. We had all of these missing, and this is Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts saying he had received 2 calls from a source, one before the raid and one after, telling him that they can't relax. And get this, folks, what do you most want to see out of this? What accountability are you looking for? Answer that in the chat for me. I make you do this before I play this video because I really want to see what you say. What form of accountability are you looking for from 2020? Okay, because we're not going to get those 4 years back. We're not getting our president back. Okay, what is it that you want to see? I know what I want to see. I want to see arrests. Let's list. There it is. Arrests. The people are lighting it up. Let's see it. Let's watch it.
Well, I'm told that. I mean, I've gotten up. I received a call
Can we get more volume on that guy?
before last Wednesday, before the raid, that there were going to be arrests in Georgia.
There are going to be arrests in Georgia.
State, his deputy, Sterling, I believe his name is, me, and 2 or 3 others.
Sterling Raffensperger.
That did not happen on Monday. It didn't happen on Tuesday. But lo and behold, on Wednesday, the FBI shows up. And in addition to the FBI showing up, when Tulsi Gabbard showed up and we'd heard a rumor that she may be coming, I couldn't believe it.
He couldn't believe Tulsi was coming.
Didn't talk to her, but she was in fact there. So that leads me to believe, and any rational thinking person, that there's something sinister going on here. There's something bigger than just the FBI confiscating the
Okay,
records.
stop it right there. Okay, so I know he's tough to hear. He's talking so quiet, but he said, with Tulsi Gabbard being there, that leads me to believe something sinister is going on here. You straight up something sinister went on in Georgia. I mean, something very sinister went on in Georgia, Mr. Pitts. Very sinister. And Tulsi Gabbard is there to expose the sinister plot. Okay? Absolutely crazy. Does he have anything else left to say, this guy?
That they took. So that's why I say that. But nothing happened. Now, after the FBI raid on Wednesday, on Friday, I received another call. Actually, it was this Monday. Same source saying that you guys can't relax, even though the FBI has been there and they've confiscated the 700 boxes.
Okay, so what he's saying is that you can't relax because the arrests are still coming. Okay, this guy talks so quiet. By the way, I saw your comment there, intellectual. Intellectual iconoclasm. And yes, treason and sedition trials with full sanctions on the table. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Okay, some real action. Okay, we want to see people held to account for these crimes. Now, so that's Rob Pitts. Now, he's Fulton County's chairman, and he was told that there were going to be arrests. Now, here's what's interesting. Fulton County now, this from the AP just broke a little bit ago. Georgia's Fulton County is seeking the return of the 2020 election documents seized by the FBI. Now, let me ask you a question. Why on earth would Georgia want documents back from 2020? Why? They have told us that we're barking up the wrong tree, that there's no there. They have also told us that we're never getting 2020 back, that it's already been adjudicated. The votes have already been cast, that we're crazy for wanting to see this stuff. So why on earth are they trying to get the return of them? Apparently, these are just wasted pieces of paper, according to them, right? I mean, this is stuff that we don't even need to look at. Yet here they are trying to get it back. Okay. Oh, thanks, Pete. That's a nice comment. All right. Neil's volume is consistent. Thank you. Yes. I wonder sometimes the comments about things being frozen or choppy audio. I think sometimes people have their own streaming problems on their end. I know sometimes, like at one time, you guys were telling me about it, and I had too much data being used in the house by my children. I had to talk to them about that, Anyways, but going on to the article, Georgia's Fulton County has gone to federal court seeking the return of all ballots and other documents from the 2020 election that were seized by the FBI last week from a warehouse near Atlanta. Its motion also asked for the unsealing of a law enforcement agent's sworn statements that was represented to the judge who approved the search warrant, the county chairman Rob Pitts said Wednesday. The filing on behalf of Pitts and the county election board is not being made public because the case is under seal, he said. The January 28th search at Fulton County's main election facility in Union City sought records related to the 2020 election. Many Democrats have criticized what they see as the use of the FBI and the Justice Department to pursue President Donald Trump's political foes. Well, again, if there's no there, they don't need to worry. But it sounds like Raffensperger and Sterling might get elected, according to Chairman Pitts. The Republican president and his allies have fixated heavily on the Democratic county, the state's most populous since the Republican narrowly lost the election of Georgia to Democrat Joe Biden that year. Trump has long insisted, without evidence. This is the thing. When I read from the AP, it's just so garbage. Without evidence that widespread voter fraud in the county cost him the state. Now, let's do I want to go through that? Actually, I want to skip ahead, Rebecca. Let's go to the Gateway Pundit, because my friend Brian, I spoke with him, and here's something really interesting. Do you guys remember how the media was telling the story about how these federal agents from the Atlanta field office were leaving, and they were getting canned because they wouldn't do what Trump wanted them to do, and so on? Well, here's the story on this. Atlanta field office special agent in charge allegedly removed for slow walking election fraud investigation. That's right. The same FBI that thought it was not a bridge too far to go through Melania's underwear drawer thought the bridge too far was actually looking into the 2020 election. Get this. Reports are emerging on social media that Paul Brown, the FBI special agent in charge at the Atlanta field office, was forced out of that job earlier this month, according to MS Now's Ken Delanian. According to MS Now, Brown was forced out after questioning the Justice Department's renewed push to probe Fulton County's role in the 2020 election. Okay, renewed push. There was never a real push before. Okay. I mean, our FBI was completely captured by the likes of James Comey et al. Okay. After expressing concern about unsubstantiated allegations of voter fraud in Fulton County. Of course, that's how MS Now would say it. On Thursday, the Gateway Pundit published a 26-count report that was shared with the Department of Justice. The document allegedly details extensive acts of maladministration and evidence destruction in Fulton County related to the 2020 election. The publication maintains that the claims are supported by citations and corroborating materials countering of them as unsubstantiated. The Gateway Pundit has received an FBI letter purportedly sent in response to the 26-count report. The letter, addressed to Fulton County Elections Director Nadine Williams, was signed by a special agent in charge, Brown, and requested that the county voluntarily produce election materials from 2020, including. So now here's the thing: paper ballots, ballot envelopes, ballot tally sheets, batch tally sheets, tabulator. So the person down in Fulton County, Paul Brown, the guy who was let go, thought it wise to warn Fulton County. That's what this is. You understand what this is? This is a warning letter. This request to produce is a warning letter. Watch out. They might execute a search warrant. You might want to hide some more stuff. But here's the problem. If you destroy the ballots that were court ordered to be maintained, what's going to happen to you then? So they couldn't do it. But this is a Paul Brown. This is the letter. He sent it to Nadine Williams and says, can you just voluntarily turn this stuff over? I know you fought every single motion in court. You've never been willing to turn it over. The Secretary of State of Georgia is on your side. But would you please, pretty please now, please turn them over, because I would really like to see them. Golly, are you kidding me? How'd you like that, Rebecca? Did you like my impersonation?
Oh, yes.
Do you know that people in the chat were asking for a Rebecca cam now? Rebecca says no. She's out on the Rebecca cam. Sources familiar with the matter stated that Brown's removal may have been linked to dissatisfaction with the Justice Department over how he handled the response. You think? Let's just send in a little. It's like a strongly worded letter. I wonder if Pam Bondi. I'm sorry. I wonder if Pam Bondi would have approved. Okay, well, we sent him a very strong letter. They better get in line. They better. I'm sorry. I don't want to pick too much on Pam Bondi. All right. I'll let that go. Oh, gosh. She's done some good work. Trump still wants her there. I trust Trump. So that's it. All right. Thanks for that other super I just saw come across. Okay. Let's go on. Let's go back to this Cleta Mitchell post because she lays this out. We're going to talk about the Fulton County absentee ballots from 2020. She puts this together so well. She's a decent follow. She's the senior legal fellow conservative Partnership Institute founder, Election Integrity Network, Cleta Mitchell. She's a decent follow on X if you want to follow somebody over there. My friend Brian, of course, you can follow him there. He also writes for Badlands Media and does some shows over there and writes for the Gateway Pundit. These are people are doing the Lord's work, but she actually laid this out so nicely for me. I didn't even have to produce this, so I'm taking this. Let's talk about the Fulton County absentee ballots from 2020. 74,000 absentee ballots were reported as cast when the polls closed on Election Day, November 3rd. But 4 days later, 148,000 absentee ballots were counted. Do you know what that is, folks? Just so you understand, 74,000 to 140 to get there. I'm just saying, it seems a little odd, doesn't it? Well, we just got 100% more now. We just take it times 2. Over 1 million extra absentee ballots were ordered by Fulton County on October 16th, 2020. after the deadline for mailing to voters. Absentee ballots without envelopes. Law requires absentee ballots to be mailed. Absentee ballots without stubs, required by law for emergency or provisional ballots. Tens of thousands of ballots arrived at State Farm Arena on and after Election Day in unsecured mail carts with no chain of custody for the 148,000 new absentee ballots in Fulton County. Now we're going to go into those numbers. Thank you so much for that, G-Dub Gore. But here's the thing. Do you guys all remember the shredder trucks? Do you guys remember this? And people down there on the ground. How many of you remember this was done by on the ground people going over to this unknown warehouse building with all of these ballots still in their plastic sleeves, okay, that were to be destroyed. And then there were all the shredder trucks, the moving trucks that pulled up. Do you guys remember this? This is so crazy. This is such a trip down memory lane for me. Looking through all of this and wondering, well, wait, what happened with those? You know, because I mean, they had ordered how many? 1 million extra absentee ballots. This is very interesting. Anyways, for the 148,000 new absentee ballots in Fulton County, 132,284 absentee ballot images have no SHA file created automatically when a ballot is scanned and is like a fingerprint used to authenticate the digital image of the ballot. Only 16,032 absentee ballot images have their corresponding unique fingerprint authentication file. 132,286 absentee ballots image SHA files were deleted. Of those deletions, 104,994 ballot image files contain modified timestamps and other metadata anomalies. Those electronic file anomalies and deleted authentication files strongly suggest deliberate ballot image file manipulation, not clerical error, which is Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger's favorite excuse. Okay, and this is Kevin Monclaw has been doing the Lord's work on this. Again, I asked the question, why is it they want the ballots back? Why did they move heaven and earth and spend millions of dollars in legal resources to stop every single inspection of the ballots? Why? Why? If it was the most freest, fairest, most accurate of all time, why? And now we have this new information that Brian Kemp was actually in on asking for it not to be investigated. Seriously. Where are we at? Oh, hey, let's bring up the Ruby Freeman video, Rebecca, because I want y'all to remember this. Just you got to remember this stuff. Look at this. Here we are.
8 o'clock in the morning.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Show it to you. There you go. So
there it is.
Start pulling these ballots out from under this table. This table, the black one, was placed there by the lady with the blonde braids at about 8:22 a.m. in the morning.
8:22.
So that table there.
Put the table there.
So the same person who's staying behind now, the same person who cleared the place out under the pretense that we're going to stop counting, is the person who put the table there.
Now pause that for a second, Rebecca. I want you to look. The table behind them that they're setting the ballots on doesn't even have a table skirt. And why would any of these tables have skirts on them? Why would any of them have skirts on them so things could be hidden below them? I don't know. It's interesting. Keep going.
At 8:22 in the morning. Yeah, I saw 4 suitcases come out from underneath the table.
Look at all the water in there. Looks like it's flooded. Must be a pipe burst. I'm sorry.
In the red. So he just pulled one out.
I remember they cleared everybody out at 10:30. The water main break story. They pulled everybody out. Do you remember this? They pulled everybody out, and then the suitcases, which then remember how the media quote unquote debunked that? Those aren't suitcases. Those are real ballot containers. Okay. So they're ballot containers that look like suitcases. We don't give a crap. Why were they being pulled out after everybody was cleared out at 10:30 at night when we were told there was a water main break? Why? Yeah, not everybody. Thank you. Not everybody was cleared out. Obviously, some needed to be there to count. And then some of these were scanned multiple times. This is nuts. Anyways, here, let's go to the Georgia GOP's post. This is kind of interesting. This is a statement from the Georgia Republican Party. Okay. Now, the real deal is, well, let's read this first. Yesterday was first in a series of announcements regarding the future of how we conduct elections in Georgia and reflects the recognition by our elected officials of the respectful and persistent activism of grassroots Georgia Republicans. The Georgia Republican Party will be actively engaging with our partners in the General Assembly in the coming weeks to realize our goal of transitioning from electronic voting to voting on hand-marked paper ballots. We believe the 2026 legislative session is the best opportunity since the Dominion machines were instituted to finally get away from a method of voting that has lost the confidence of a large percentage of Georgia voters and replace it with a simple tried and true method that has been implemented with success in over 70% of the country. Okay, now this is interesting because they're allowing in that state, Raffensperger is still running as a Republican, and this whole term about actively engaging, they're not saying they're implementing paper ballots. So I think one of the things we're tired of, and we saw this with John Thune the other day in the U.S. Senate, the little head fakes. Oh, yeah, we see you. We hear you. We're all up on election integrity now. And then after they get what they want, they just kind of slide the election integrity into the background. Just slide it back into the background. That's right. Okay. We don't want negotiations, folks. We just want the ballots gone. We want paper ballots, hand counted. We do not want electronic voting machines at all anymore. I think we're all in agreement on that, aren't we, folks? Now, before I go on here with the rest of this, folks, want to mention we're looking at all the fake news here, and I've been telling you that fake news is a problem. But one of the biggest scams out there is the Medicare industry. Okay. People are on the wrong Medicare plan. Millions of them. Millions of seniors are on the wrong plan. And this is costing them thousands of dollars. The average savings with Chapter is $1,100 per year. That's why I'm so proud to partner with Chapter 2761-2660. But people are saving big money with Chapter. $4,000, $3,000, $2,000, $1,000 a year. I've seen commented on my channel. I've got another friend who's had a bunch of people sign up with Chapter, already saved people over $1 million with Chapter. Okay, cumulatively total. So go check them out. Chapter 832-761-2660. So that's what's going on in Georgia right now. I kind of stepped back from Minnesota. You guys know I'm in Minnesota. I love covering Minnesota. We've got a bunch of zombie idiots running down in the metro area of the Twin Cities, interfering with lawful law enforcement operations to get illegal aliens out of our country. Okay. And it's moving ahead. It's still moving ahead in spite of them. They're not gaining the upper hand on this. Okay. And if you're worried about the midterms, don't worry, get involved. I was at my precinct caucus last night. Mike Lindell won our precinct caucus handily. The nearest person, he had 18 votes. Lisa DeMuth had 4, and then Kendall Qualls had 6. Correct, Rebecca? Wasn't that the breakdown?
Yeah, I believe that was the number.
Okay, so Mike pulled out a big victory there, and I'm up in northern Minnesota, pretty rural, pretty red. Used to be very blue. And he took 3rd place statewide. And that was his goal. Just so you understand, Mike's goal was to finish in the top 3. That's all he needed, because the straw poll doesn't decide who is the next governor. It just takes those top 3 now, and it just kind of, it crystallizes what the candidates, where they are placing. I mean, are they viable? So the top 3 are the ones that are most viable. So you got DeMuth, Qualls, and Mike Lindell. Now, any single one of those people would obviously be better than Amy Klobuchar, which we'll do an expose on here this week as well, because I've had interactions with Klobuchar's office and her staff, and it hasn't been good. Okay, but that will be crystallized. And you know, I think, you know, Kendall Quall's a decent guy. I talked to my friends in the legislature, Lisa DeMuth. She's okay. She's not as strong as we want her to be. But whatever, we're going to go through this nominating process that we do. We go through the nominations. Minnesota is a caucus state. We'll have a state convention. At that state convention, we will nominate a candidate, but then we still have a primary in August. That primary will actually decide who is the Republican candidate for governor. So that is left up to the vast amount of people. All the GOP voters out there can vote in the primary. But nomination is a big deal because typically the person who is nominated, in fact, I think it's only happened once one time I was at the state convention when we did not nominate somebody for U.S. Senate, but typically the nominated candidate gets the party backing, party money, all that, and they're the ones that go on to win in the primary. So Mike still got all those hurdles to face. We had our BPOU, that's basic political operating, or precinct caucuses last night. Then it goes to our district, and then eventually we go to state, and that'll determine all of this. So anyhow, thanks so much for listening today. We'll see you on the next episode. Remember to subscribe if you're new. Thank you so much to all my OGs. I see y'all in the chat. It's been a long road to get here, but we are finally getting proven right in all these things. We just needed to remove the blockage from federal law enforcement so we could get to it. See you in the next episode, folks. Peace out.